What is up, everybody? Good afternoon. It's your boy Peete and Pete. Happy Friday to everybody. Thank you all for joining me on this fine Friday evening or Friday afternoon, depending on what part of the country you're in. There's lots we can talk about today, even though it is the off season. There's a lot going on in the world of football. We could talk about there's a few things I do want to talk about, but of course, this show is driven by the callers, and the number to call in is 864-207-4522. We can talk about whatever you want, but the NFL CBA news is big, and this does relate to college football, I think. I have a definite opinion on this if you guys have not heard about this. Also, a couple things. Listen, I woke up this morning in a great mood. And Friday is always my favorite day of the week. During the off season, during the season itself, it's obviously Saturday and Sunday are my favorite days of the week because there's actual football. But I woke up and there's two things that happened to me today that really, and back-to-back things that happened to me today that really annoyed me. And I don't get annoyed easy. I know you probably can't tell that from my YouTube channel because I do a lot of bitching and moaning on my YouTube channel. but in real life, I'm probably one of the most laid back individuals you'll ever meet in your life. Listen, somebody could be 2 inches from my face, calling me every profanity in the book, and it wouldn't faze me. It wouldn't get my heart rate up at all. But there's a couple of things in this world that get under my skin very quickly. One of them is people who can't drive. All right, everybody on the road, you look at them in traffic, right? They're looking at their phone, they're putting makeup on in the rearview mirror. They're doing everything but looking at the road. That annoys me, and I see that on a daily basis. The other thing that annoys me is technology to no end. I hate technology, and unfortunately, when you have a hobby like I have, which involves technology, YouTube, you can do it on your phone, which I did for a year or so. But if you want to put on anything that's even viewable to most people, you have to get a laptop and a webcam and a microphone and the whole 9 yards. So today, I was going into my my video software that I have on my computer that most YouTubers use to make videos on. It's called OBS. Some of you probably have heard of this. Some of you, if you're a YouTube video maker, you probably use the same system. For some reason, I have the one model of computer. It's an Apple computer, but the one model of Apple that has a glitch with OBS. I've had this problem since I bought this laptop. The only reason I bought this laptop was to do YouTube. Period. I spent $2,000 on this thing, which was a mistake in itself, but that's a whole nother story. But so for some reason, anytime I go into OBS and try to do any adding of scenes or video clips, there's video clips I do. Here, hold on. I'll do just so you know what I'm talking about here. Any of these clips, like the Gamecock fan here, right? Or this one. All right, so those are all just video clips that I add, scenes that I add into the OBS system to get ready for a show like I'm doing tonight. And the one you're looking at is a scene. This whole thing on the screen here now. Anyway, anytime I click to add a scene, it automatically streams live. Now I've consulted other YouTubers. I've even called Apple. I've even called other YouTubers that use the same, that also use a Macintosh Apple computer and see if they have this problem. Nobody has this problem except for Pigskin Pete. Now, the way I've been circumventing this problem over the past 2 years is making sure that I go to my Creator YouTube app and set all my things to private, all my videos to private before I go into OBS and start adding stuff to it. So when it goes live for no reason, that nobody's able to see it. Now, there's been several times over the past couple of years that I have just forgot to go into YouTube and put it on private before I do it. And it's done a live stream for a minute or two, and I didn't know it was live streaming. Well, today I went to add some scenes, some video clips into my OBS system. I went in before that and set it to private. That didn't seem to matter. So inadvertently, while I was doing stuff on my computer, I was live for 2 or 3 minutes, didn't know it. And I want to thank somebody They didn't do anything for me, but they happened to help me out without even knowing it. I think it was a Bulldog Freakazoid. Made a comment like 20 minutes later. So I had done a live stream for 2 or 3 minutes. Didn't know I did it. It uploaded to YouTube. Didn't know it uploaded to YouTube because I didn't go on YouTube. And like 20 minutes later afterwards, I get a notification on my phone. Now, normally, I don't have my notifications on my phone for YouTube because I get comments all the time and it just blows my phone up and I'm just don't want that. So anyway, I got a notification on my phone and it was a comment on that video. And it was something like, I forget what he said. He said something like, that was a bad troll job, terrible video, but it was funny. And I'm like, what is he talking about? I had no idea what he was talking about. So I click on it, and I see that this video has gone live when I wasn't trying to make a video. So listen, when technology doesn't do what I want, I don't care if it's a TV remote or a laptop or a cell phone. It makes me irate. Like it's actually a minor miracle that I have not broke every phone that I own. I've thought about throwing this $2,000 laptop out of the top floor of I'm on the top floor now, the top floor of my house out onto my driveway below. I've almost done it several times. If that was not bad enough, like an hour after this all happened, and I finally calmed down. I don't know why I get so mad about stupid shit like that, but I do. I hate technology. I get a phone call. No, I'm sorry. I go to check my mail. And in the mail is a postcard from a vehicle warranty company. Now, I bought a new car 2 years ago, right? Brand new car. It's got a 36,000 mile bumper-to-bumper warranty, a 60,000 mile powertrain, transmission, engine, all that warranty on it. And this postcard says that if I don't respond to this by today, I don't know if I got it tomorrow or yesterday or today because I didn't check the mail yesterday. Anyways, if I don't respond by today, then I'm going to have to pay for all repairs out of my pocket. And so I'm like, what? Now, look, so I called the number just because I already knew this was going to be a bunch of bullshit, but I called it anyway because I was pissed off already just for getting that. So I call this number and this guy answers the phone and he starts wanting my name and my address and what kind of car I have and all that. I tell him all that stuff. And he's like, okay, so basically your warranty's about to run out. I'm like, no, it's not. I purchased an extended warranty and I still have the factory warranty on it. And he's like, yeah, but you didn't purchase the platinum warranties. That's not going to cover everything. He said, all you got to do right now is just give me your credit card number, give me $250, and then we'll cover everything for the next 3 years or whatever. And I'm like, I'm not giving you my credit card. First of all, I don't even know who you are, right? And he's like, well, we're so-and-so company. I said, I don't know who you are. You could be just some jabroni calling, sending me something in the mail. This could be a scam. And he's like, I've got all your information right here. And I'm like, yeah, you got my information. I don't know where you got my information from. And he said, well, I said, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to look into this more. I'm going to talk to my wife and I'm going to get back to you. And he goes, well, this has to be done today. And I'm like, no, it doesn't. Well, why does this have to be done? In other words, if I don't give you $250 in my credit card number right now, you're not going to extend my warranty? And he's like, yeah, we have the right to deny your warranty to you if you don't do it today. I'm like, well, then go ahead and deny it then, because I'm not giving you shit, buddy. And look, this is the thing. And now I did check out the company after I got off the phone with them. They are a legit company, which pissed me off even more, because if he would have just been a scammer, then I would have been like, yeah, a scammer. But the fact is, a legit company is calling me and telling me I have to give them $250 right now, or they're going to deny me service when when my factory warranty is not even up yet. Let's just say I called that number back. I should have got that idiot's name that I talked to. I didn't. I got some poor girl who got the wrath of Pigskin Pete on the phone, and I laid into her. And anyway, so how was your day? Let me see. What's the number to call in? 864-207-4522. Let me see if anybody's on the phones. Nobody's on the phone. So this show will be real short if nobody calls in. But while I'm waiting on somebody to call in, I'll answer some stuff in the comments here, and then I will also talk about this NFL CBA thing, which is basically the end of the NFL as we know it or love it, if you're an NFL fan out there. And it does translate to college football as well, if you're a college football fan. Tiger Nate's in the house. How you doing, sir? Vodka Drinker. He says, what's poppin', Vodka Drinker? Ballard Sports Media. What's good, Pete? What's up with you, Christian Ballard? Gator Hater, Knoll Nation. How you doing, sir? I'm sure if you're here, you're amazing and fantastic. Kill a Mime. What do you say, Pigskin? In Athens, drinking beer, dog style. Sweet. I've got some water here. Might have something else in there, too. But I do have a beer. Does anybody drink beer with tomato juice in it? I do. It makes me think it's healthy. Actually, no, it does taste good that way. Tiger Nation. What's up with you, sir? Small Vol. Hello, Pigskin. Pete, hello, Small Vol. How you doing, sir? Vodka Drinker says she got the platinum. Yes, she did. She got. I felt bad for that poor girl after I got off the phone with her, but it had to be done. Good afternoon. You're on with Pete.
Hey, Pete. It's Coulter, and I have a question that's actually not regarding to the spring games, but we know you're a Clemson fan, but I also know you're a Carolina Panthers fan. So I wanted to ask how you felt about the Panthers hiring Matt Rule.
I love it. Now, it's anytime a team hires a new head coach, you never know what they're going to do, especially since he hasn't been a head coach in the NFL before. But if you look at his track record, when he went to Temple, they were in the dumpster. He brought him back within 2 years to a really good program. The job he took over at Baylor was probably the worst job in the country because of the sanctions that they had put on him. Went from a one-win season, I think it was, to an 11-win season in 2 years. If you look at his coaching resume over the history of his life, he's not an old guy. He's only 43 or 44 years old. He's not very old, but he's coached a lot of places, and he's coached both sides of the football. He's been position coach for both offense and defense, and obviously head coach at a couple of places. And so X's and O's wise, he's clearly elite as far as X's and O's go, as far as coaching goes, and also just rebuilding programs who are in the dumps. Now, Carolina's not necessarily in the dumps, but they do have a lot of deficiencies and problems that they need to work out. So I'm excited about it, but I'm still gonna reserve my excitement until I can see what he does in the draft first, and then what he does, once the season comes around.
All right, that's all I wanted to know. So I'll let you go and get to the next caller. See ya.
All right, man. That was short and sweet. Good afternoon. You're on with Pete. Good afternoon. You're on with Pete. Well, whoever that was didn't have much to say, did they? Well, first of all, that was a blocked number. That's the reason it didn't pick up, I think. It's an anonymous number, which basically means that I probably blocked them. Or they're calling from a fake number, which in case I don't want to talk to them anyway. But anybody else who wants to call, the number to call in is 864-207-4522. And we can talk about anything you want to talk about. It's a free-for-all. Now, while we're waiting on a call, I will say this. This NFL CBA is the worst thing that could happen to the NFL football as a whole in a long time. So for anybody who doesn't know what I'm talking about, the owners have got together and formulated a new collective bargaining agreement that the players have to agree to, and obviously the NFLPA, the Players Association, has to agree to. What they want to do, essentially, is expand the regular season to 17 games. They want to expand the playoffs from 12 total teams to 14 total teams. Add another wild card in the AFC, add another wild card team in the NFC, and eliminate 2 preseason games. That's the main. Now, there's a lot of other stuff in there too, but those are the main points of it. First of all, I'm totally on board with them getting rid of 2 preseason games. There's too many. The 4 preseason games is too many. And every single year we see elite, like top-notch, important franchise players get hurt in the regular season, like season-ending injuries. This is where Cam Newton got hurt last year. He like broke his foot or whatever in the preseason, and that screwed up the whole rest of the season for him. But that aside, adding more playoff teams. There's only 32 NFL teams. I already think that 12 is too many, which is what they've had for a long time now. 6 from each conference. Now they want to make 14 and expand it to 17 games. Now, what this would do potentially is make it to where, so an 8-8 team of every once in a while made the playoffs with a 16-game season. When you add another game and you expand the playoffs, we're going to see several times where a team with a losing record, an 8-9 team, 8-9-17. I can do simple math, kind of. You could see an 8-9 team, a team that's below 500, make the playoffs. Now, this is the whole reason that I have been very adamant against the college football playoff expansion. Now, it's not the same because in college football, you can lose a game most of the time as long as your schedule is not complete and total garbage. You can lose one game most of the time as long as you win your conference and still get in the playoffs. I'm not totally against a 2-loss team getting into the college football playoff. But imagine a 5-6 team making the playoffs, which is essentially what that is in the NFL. You're talking about a team with a losing record. This devalues the regular season even more than it already is in the NFL. And what you'll see happening is once a team, let's take the Kansas City Chiefs of this year, the Super Bowl champions. Let's take them for instance. If they had a 2-game lead in first place in the AFC, number 1 seed, going into the last 2 weeks of the season, what is the incentive for them to play Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes? There is none, because they'd still end up with the first seed even if they lost the last 2 games, most likely. And so why play them? This is the same thing we see with the players sitting out in college football, the bowl games. There's got to be an incentive for regular season games for players to play if they're not injured. And this could ruin it for me. I'm going to tell you right now. I love the NFL. I love college more because the regular season is more compelling than the NFL. I'm never going to stop watching the NFL. But if players are sitting out at the end of the season for 2 and 3 games at the end of the season, I won't watch those games. I just won't. The Goat Watson's in the house. Billy Dawson, my man. I see Uncle Lou is in here. Complete Control. Dog Mimic fan says go Dogs. Since I got a bunch of dog fans in here, I was lucky enough to get a tour of the Georgia Bulldog locker room, and it was amazing. It was amazing. You guys want to see what it looked like?
Trying to smoke it, not grow it. You don't see these stems. Come on, all right, man. Ready, willing, and able to smoke y'all under the table.
Yeah, that was a hell of a tour. I got a buzz just walking through there. It was amazing. The number to call in is 864-207-4522 if you want to call in and talk to Pigskin Pete. And I'm going to give it another 5 minutes or so. If nobody else calls in, I'll just go ahead and end the show. That's the way this works. I don't plan things for these shows. I just turn the computer on, rant and rave for about 5 minutes, and wait for people to call in. So. Let's see. The Goat Watson says next year's offseason is going to be a lot of fun. With Pigskin and Lou. It will be, first of all. It definitely will be some back and forth between me and Lou, having fun. But the problem is that's a year and a half away. No, wait. More than a year and a half away. Not the offseason is not a year and a half away, but the game's more than a year and a half away, which, by the way, I'm planning on going to as soon as those tickets are on sale And what he's referring to is obviously the Georgia and Clemson game that's scheduled for, I think it's September 4th is the date. September 4th, 2021. And so, yeah, it's in Charlotte. It's a neutral site game. It's a game. Clemson had to buy out their game with Wyoming, and I think Georgia had to buy out their game with San Jose State to make this happen. Kudos to both teams. Obviously, until the ACC gets better, anything that Clemson can do to add great teams to their schedule is a plus. And plus, listen, I'd like to see them play Georgia on a more of a regular basis than they do in anyways. But also, kudos to Georgia. You know, Georgia is one of these SEC teams. There's a lot of SEC teams out there that they bank on the SEC just being so great, and then they go out and schedule garbage non-conference games, which is all that you can really control if you're a Power 5 program. You can't control who in your conference is good, right? You can control, or at least try to schedule elite teams out of conference. And Georgia, out of all the teams in the SEC, and they're not the only team in the SEC, but they are right at the top of doing that. Georgia does not shy away from scheduling any big boys out of conference. They've done it year after year, and they're doing it in the future. And so I applaud Georgia for that. The good news for Georgia, they could listen. Georgia could potentially lose that game to Clemson in 2021, and that wouldn't hurt their playoff chances. Now, unless things get a lot better in the ACC, if Clemson loses to Georgia, that could hurt their playoff chances. So it's more of a risk for Clemson than it is for Georgia, but also Clemson needs to bolster their schedule. So it goes both ways. Yeah, there's Georgia versus Clemson games. You know, when they played each other a lot back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, obviously I was born in 1980, so I didn't see any of the games prior to that. But when they played each other in the 80s, I was a little kid. I don't really have much of a recollection of games when I was 4 years old. So I don't have that connection that a lot of older Clemson fans, guys that are 50, 60, 70 years old who are Clemson fans. I don't have that connection to the Georgia-Clemson rivalry that they have. But I still think these two universities are only an hour and a half apart. I think, as the crow flies, Athens is closer to Clemson than Columbia is, Gamecocks, Columbia, South Carolina. So it's only natural especially since these are two elite programs right now in college football and probably will be for the foreseeable future unless something drastic changes. It only makes sense for these guys to play each other on a more regular basis. But they are scheduled to play each other like at least 3 or 4 times in the next 12 years. So that's something. It's better than nothing. They used to play each other every year. All right, I got 2 callers on the line. The 256 number, just hold on, and I'll get to you next. Good afternoon. You're on with Pete.
Hey, what's up, Big Skin Pete? This is Tiger Nate.
Tiger Nate. What's up, brother? How you doing, man?
Oh, pretty good, man. Just waiting for the next season. It's going to be a little while.
Yeah, I'll see. I'll see you in about 6 weeks on April the 4th.
Yeah, me too, brother. I'll be there.
I know you will be. Yep.
But yeah, while some of these Clemson fans are waiting, go ahead and check out the article once it's posted. I don't actually know if it's posted up or not, but I just wrote a new one.
Yeah, no,
it'll be up there.
It's not up yet. I'll get with you off air about that. It will go up whenever it's able to go up. It's not able to go up right now, but I do have it, and I appreciate.
All right, cool.
Yeah, I liked it. I read it. It was good.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. And yeah, I looked back at my my last article from last year, basically on the same subject. It actually wasn't too far off. I was quite impressed with myself, to be perfectly honest. Not to, gloat or anything, but man, that was not too bad.
Yeah, it was good, man. Listen, what he's referring to, for you people that don't know, he's talking about the website you see at the top of the screen there, howardsrock.net. I've had several people contribute writing articles for the website, and that's what he's talking about. So I appreciate it.
Right. Yeah, and to add to, let's see, the NFL adding 2 more playoff spots. I mean, it's like In my eyes, you don't really have to. I mean, from what I understand, there was a bunch of people whining and complaining that the Rams didn't get in, and it's just like, well, you didn't get in because you didn't win your games. That's all there is to it. You know?
So let's put it this way: if we all know how bad the Panthers were last year, to the second half of the season, right? I mean, what were they? They were like 6-2 or 5-3 at mid-season, and then they lost a bunch of games in a row. They just went right into the toilet. The Panthers would have made a wild card spot last year if there would have been 17 games and an expanded playoff. The Panthers had no business being in the playoffs last year. They just weren't good enough to be in the playoffs. So that's my point. Like the more teams you allow in there, you start getting teams in there that have no business being in there.
Right, and it's just going to further prove the point that why do we need all these spots? It's just going to, waste more time. I mean, sure, there might be a team all of a sudden in 1 year that might just, totally plow some of these bigger teams out of the way, and it's like, well, I guess they deserved it, but most of the time that won't be the case.
Exactly. This is the rich getting richer, and here's the other problem with this: if the players don't agree to this CBA, which they don't seem like they like it, then there'll be a lockout or holdout. And you know who's going to win that battle, right? It's the billionaires. They're not relying on every single game to feed their family and keep their house and all that. A lot of these players, people look at the NFL players like they're all rich. They're not all rich. You got the top 5% that are making a ton of money, but the lower tier, let's say the lower 20%, they're not making a ton of money, and they don't have a long career, so they can't afford to sit out for 2 years. So the owners always win this battle, and the owners don't care what the fans want either. Because I really haven't heard any fans yet. I mean, this is a new thing, but I haven't heard any fans stumping for a longer season and more playoff games. I haven't heard it. I haven't heard a single fan say they want that. So, but the owners don't care what the fans want. They don't care what the fans want. They just want more money.
Right, and it's just that's part of why it's been so hard to watch the NFL for some people, because it's just like, well, where's the fans in this? It doesn't feel like it's really fan involved as much as college football is.
It is. There's just a difference. The fan involvement in NFL is concentrated to major metropolitan cities. And quite honestly, cities like Jacksonville and Charlotte are borderline not even big enough to support an NFL team. It's the New Yorks, the San Franciscos, the Dallases, it's cities like that for the most part. Now, Green Bay is kind of an outlier, but most of these fan bases are from major cities. The other thing that's great about college football is that they're all located. All of them are located in small towns where the university is driven, the town is driven by the university. So those are my favorite towns. Places like Athens, places like Clemson, places like Tuscaloosa. I mean, I guess Tuscaloosa might be a little bit bigger, but you get what I'm saying. And so that it's more of a regional thing instead of a national thing with college football.
Yeah, and and speaking of Clemson, I was telling you the other day about how I visited there the other day because, for those of you who don't know, I am in college and just trying to get through classes, and of course my dad went to Clemson, and he went there in '94, and he took me down there and we visited, and man, if there was any doubt about going there for my career, my school career, man, there's no doubts anymore. It's an amazing place. I mean, it feels like literally you've got like a red carpet walking up to that place. I mean, everyone's so welcoming, and the staff was just so informative, and it was great. I mean, I honestly couldn't have asked for a better visit.
That's awesome, man. I'm proud of you, and I wish you luck. Hopefully you get to go there. I know you will.
Yeah, thank you. It was definitely great. But also, to get a little bit off topic here, talk about the MLB. I mean, it's just all day long I've been seeing nothing but MLB players from the Astros are getting these death threats, and now the family's getting death threats. And it's like, good God, people. Yes, they cheated, but just stop. stop with this nonsense. I mean, it's just like we hear this all the time, where it's like people getting death threats, people, getting offended. It's just like, well, just leave it alone.
Well, yeah, you got idiots everywhere. I don't really, I don't care much for baseball, honestly. Major League Baseball, I don't really follow. I'll watch the World Series and maybe the championship games before the World Series, but I just don't. I don't have much interest in it, honestly. So I could care less if they cheated.
Yeah. The World Series is usually when I only watch, and it's usually every other year I'll take a peek. But other than that, yeah, it's kind of like, well, it doesn't really matter. As long as they keep winning at least 2 or 3 games out of every series, they're probably fine anyway. So
yeah. All right, man. Well, I appreciate the call. I got a guy on hold. I'm going to go ahead and pick up his call. But good luck with your admission to Clemson, and I'll see you on April the 4th, sir.
Yep, I'll be there, man. See you then.
All right, man.
Bye.
Good afternoon. You're on with Pete.
Hey, Pete. It's Small Ball.
What's up, Small Ball? How you doing, man?
Doing all right, man. Sorry to hear about your day. It sounds like you had a pretty bad day today.
No, it wasn't a bad day. It was fine. I just got annoyed by a couple of things. That's all.
Yeah, that happens to everybody. But anyway, man, you talk about scheduling with Clemson and Georgia. Man, we need to get Tennessee and Clemson back on the schedule sometime in the next few years. I'd love to see that.
Well, I can go ahead and tell you right now, for the next 17 years, or 18 years if you include 2020, Clemson is booked up with a non-conference game. They're playing 10 Power 5 teams a year. It's like a ton of Georgia and Notre Dame, and there's a home and home with LSU and a home with Oklahoma. But unless they were to schedule,
and none of them include Tennessee, do they?
No, but you know what? I thought that almost happened. So the home and home with LSU, which is like, I don't even know what it is. It's like 20 it's like 10 years from now. But the home and home with LSU was almost Tennessee and Clemson. So that was about to happen. And I don't know which side fell through, whether it was Tennessee or Clemson. I honestly don't know, but it fell through, and we ended up scheduling LSU instead. But the only way that it would happen is if one of the teams were scheduled to play backs out, and most likely would have to be Georgia or Notre Dame, which probably isn't going to happen. But here's the other thing. If Notre Dame ends up joining a conference, then that would open up doors for Clemson to schedule more Power 5 teams.
There we go.
Otherwise, Notre Dame's considered a non-conference game right now. Technically. So yeah, I don't see it happening with Tennessee in the next 18 years unless Notre Dame joins a conference or one of these teams backs out. But right now, Clemson's playing 10 Power 5 teams a year, and there's no team out there that's playing 11 Power 5 teams at all. So I don't think Clemson.
That's very true. Yeah, there's no way that's going to happen.
Yeah.
But speaking also of switching gears here, the NFL schedule, man, let's talk about that, because I hate the way it's formatted. I don't understand why you only play 4 NFC teams every year, and it's one division. Why not mix it up? And not only that, think about this, because when you have NFC teams playing each other against AFC teams, it's alternated in home and away. You only play at that stadium every 8 years. There needs to be more of a consistency of teams going to other places and traveling across and playing out of conference. I'm just a big fan of that, because I like seeing AFC and NFC teams play each other, and I think that it would bring more people to the games, especially if it's like, I don't know, think about it this way. LA and San Francisco, they're out of conference, but then we play each other, every 4 years. If they played each other more often, that would generate a lot more revenue to their stadiums. Just things like that. That's just the little kinks and the little things that irk me about the NFL scheduling, but I would love to see that happen. The NFL change their scheduling format, because I'm not happy with the way that it is now. And with this new playoff expansion, man, I don't like it either. Too many playoff teams, and also now the potential if you add a week 17 or 17 games, now you're talking about a potential 8 and 9 team making the playoffs. So I don't like
that's what I said.
That either. But
we'll see what happens with that. As far as the way the NFL schedules currently, they don't have a whole lot of options. I mean, there's only 32 teams. You got eight divisions, right? So
yeah.
I mean, and the one thing I will give the NFL credit for that's different than college football, college football likes to schedule things 5 and 10 years out, sometimes even 20 and 30 years out. The NFL doesn't do that.
No, they don't.
Like what they'll do it year to year. So in other words, they like to schedule compelling matchups, especially early in the season. So what we'll probably see, you almost see this every year, is teams that were late in the playoffs and NFC and AFC championships playing against each other early in the year. Like I wouldn't be surprised if week 1 or week 2, when the schedule comes out, you'll see San Francisco against Kansas City. So, and then they'll build off of that. So they do get that part of it right. You're not going to see a difference in the way that the NFL schedules. And I think with only 32 teams, you only have so many options, since you have a bunch of division games.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a better way to format it instead of playing one division from another. You know, like again, the AFC West playing like the AFC East or something like that. You know, just something like that. Why can't instead you do at least one team per division? Like, I don't know, like the NFC West playing like one team from the East, one team for the West, one team from the South, and one team from the North of the other conference. That way, you're getting a more variety of games being played and more teams.
Well, because that all has to match up mathematically for every team. That's
true.
That's why
there may not be a way to do that, and that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
That's my rant for the day. But anyway, it's always good to talk to you, man. I don't want to keep you on for long. I knew you got other callers calling, and I just wanted to stop by and say hello. Hope you're doing well. Would love to chat with you soon. I'd love to have you on my radio show sometime. So anyway, well, it was good talking to you, man.
All right, man. I appreciate the call, brother. Thank you.
All right. See you, pal.
Small Vol calling, giving his opinion on the NFL. Moco Tiger 843. What's up? What's up with you, sir? Dennis Wilson. Beer with Peete. Dennis Wilson. Let's take a live look at Ed Reed, who, in case you guys didn't know about this, Ed Reed is the chancellor, and I think he also might be the president and maybe even the dictator of Miami football. Everybody put your hands together for Ed Reed. All kidding aside, Ed Reed, I think, was a good hire. What's the title they gave him? What is he? I don't remember the title. Again, he's like the king of Miami football. Yeah. No, chief. That's what it was. Chief of staff. Chief of staff Ed Reed. Honestly, I think that's a good thing for Miami football. Just an interesting position for a guy like Ed Reed to have. That's all. Ed Reed needs a razor desperately. SEC Dogs in the house. How you doing, sir? He says, no one showboats without the football better than Ed Reed. I can think of a few people. Their names will go unmentioned on here. I did like some of the things that Ed Reed said, though. He sounded a lot like Dabo Swinney and Nick Saban. You know, even though Dabo Swinney and Nick Saban are head coaches and Ed Reed's chief of staff, he said a lot of good things that I liked. That I would have liked if I'm a Miami fan. About these, we only want guys here that are passionate about playing and passionate about working hard and passionate about their education and all that sort of thing. So, he'll hopefully Ed Reed can help Miami recruit better and clean out some of the riffraff, some of the guys who probably shouldn't be there. And I think he probably will do that. Here's the other thing. Does anybody know this? Dennis Wilson, you're a Miami fan. You might know this. That's a pretty hefty title, Chief of Staff. How much money are they paying him? What's his salary? Slim Shady Canes. Slim Shady Canes, you might want to call and let me know. I got a lot of questions. And for some reason, Slim Shady Canes is one of the only Miami fans that actually call me on the phone and talk to me, which is fine. Dennis Wilson, he's a type patrol, but he doesn't ever call in. Dennis Wilson, you can call me too if you want. I'm not going to even answer that question. Yeah. What's up, Kevin Whitaker? I'm sure if you're here, you're amazing and fantastic. Vic Beasley's in the house. I think I might have already said that. Repeating myself. All right, looks like I got a couple of calls here on the line. The 516 number, just hang on a second. I'll get to you in a minute. Good afternoon. You're on with Pete.
Pete, sir. How are you?
What is up, Slim Shady Canes? How you doing?
I am amazing.
My name is what? My name is Slim
I know that you are. Thank you for calling. All right, so give me some insight into this, man. How much is Ed Reed getting paid? Do you know?
Actually, almost nobody knows what he's getting paid because the University of Miami is a private school,
Yeah.
so they don't have to make what they pay anybody public, and they tend to never do it.
Oh.
I don't know why. They just
Yeah, so I know a public employee or a state employee, it doesn't matter if you work at the DMV or you work at at the state house. Every public employee's salary is public record. You can go in there, anybody can go in there and request public record for anybody's salary if they want to. Obviously, like you just said, Miami is a private institution. So what is Manny Diaz's salary also private?
It is. I mean, the rumors have been out there, obviously, and I mean, he's rumored to be in the $2 to $3 million a year ballpark. I couldn't imagine Ed Reed being there for under six figures. I think that's pretty much a given.
I think he's getting more than that. I would think.
He may be. Now I do know before Ed Reed, all the hype was they were talking about bringing in Alonzo Highsmith for the position, and the big point of contention with him, I don't necessarily think was the pay, was more along the lines of the power that he was going to have and that position was going to entail. Because you're talking, a guy who had been leaving, basically the position he's in, he's just below the general manager of the Cleveland Browns.
Right.
So he was wanting to come in and basically be, in between Manny and the athletic director, Blake James.
Right.
And that's just not going to happen in college football.
Yeah, so listen to this. While we're on the salary subject and we're on the private school subject. So, Matt Rule, who just got hired by the Panthers, the former Baylor head coach. So Baylor's also a private school, and nobody knew what Matt Rule's salary was. Do you know what it was? I learned this the other day.
No clue.
Get this.
No clue.
He was getting paid $7 million a year.
Wow.
Yeah. So he was one of the top 5 highest paid coaches in college football. Nobody knew it. And so when he got offered that job at Carolina, they offered him what it was like. I think it comes out to like $9 million a year, and everyone was like, "That's an astronomical number for an NFL coach." But he was making $7 million at Baylor, which is crazy. That's what makes me think that a lot of these private schools like Miami and Baylor, I think these coaches might be getting paid more than people think. I wouldn't be surprised if Manny Diaz was getting paid more than the $2 or $3 million that you think. And Ed Reed as well.
I'm not so sure about that because it did come out that Mark Richt was making $4 million a year, and that's the most they've ever paid a head coach.
Okay, I got you. So, all right, so you have something to compare it to there.
Yeah, that's the one that, and I mean, there are others. Eventually people found out, what Jimmy Johnson and Dennis Erickson made back in the day.
Yeah, that was a different time. That was before big money was in, they were paying these guys big money.
Right.
Yeah. So.
But like I said, everybody knew Mark Richt was getting about four and some change a year. So, I mean, based off of that, I could not see them paying Manny. I couldn't see them paying him that much.
Well, probably not yet. Not
being a first-time head coach.
Yeah, but if you would have asked me to guess what Matt Rule was getting paid at Baylor, when you're talking about a team that when he took over that job, it was just in the dumps. I mean, sanctions, and it wasn't a desirable job. I mean, it was a complete rebuild, and they had a lot of obstacles ahead of them. And I don't think that the student base is very high at Baylor either. Most of these private schools aren't. I mean, Miami's only got 15,000 students or something. And when you look at a school like Ohio State,
in that neighborhood, 15 to 17, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, Clemson's got like 20. The University of South Carolina's got twice as many as Clemson. Places like Ohio State and Michigan, they've got 50, 60,000 undergrad students. So it's a massive base. But if you would have asked me what I thought Matt Rule was getting paid at Baylor, I would have said probably $2 million, and it was $7 million. So that's the reason I said that. But you do make a good point. If Mark Richt was only getting paid $4 million, that would make sense that they're not going to pay Manny Diaz as much as they were paying Mark Richt. Why would they?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the only other recent one that came out was Al Golden when he was there, and he was knocking on that $2 million a year number. Those were the rumors anyway.
Right. So are you are you happy about the Ed Reed hire as chief of staff?
I think it's a good hire. I've had to kind of explain a couple things to Miami fans that, a few of them admitted that they didn't think about it from that perspective because a lot of people are still, high on the fire Manny Diaz train. And I told them, I said, listen, the way this chief of staff position is, Ed Reed's part of the staff. Mm-hmm. You fire Manny, he's gone. And there's no telling if the next head coach that they hire is going to want that position. I mean, you only got about a dozen programs in the country that even have the position.
Right. Yeah, not for football. Not for football programs. I don't even. What are the other ones? I don't know of any. I mean,
when it came up, I read a Miami Herald article and they listed off a few of. I want to say one of them was Penn State. I mean, for the most part, what they do at other schools is a lot of the things that coaches just don't have the time to do every day.
I feel like it's a quasi general manager. Like, how the NFL teams have a general manager? I feel like that's what it is.
Right.
Yeah, because there's no general manager in college football, so they give a guy a power to sort of oversee the day-to-day operations and give information and opinions on recruiting and that sort of thing.
Right.
That's what it sounds like.
Big part of his job is going to be evaluate talent. But and something a lot of the fans got confused that, I'm glad he set the record straight. He is under the head coach. A lot of fans thought he was going to come in kind of as a GM type, equivalent to the NFL, but he's not. He doesn't have the power to hire or fire anybody.
He doesn't. He doesn't on paper, but do you think his opinion isn't going to make it to the athletic director? In other words, I'm
sure his opinion will be held in high regard.
That's what I'm saying. Like, he can't necessarily fire Manny Diaz, but if he goes into the athletic director's office and says, "This ain't our guy," they're going to listen to Ed Reed, most likely.
They
right?
may. I would think of it more as, Ed Reed more so going to Manny and being like, this position coaches isn't working out.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
No, I mean, I could be completely off. Who knows? But
Well, the bottom line,
mine's not a popular opinion right now because they're still between Ed Reed and they act like Rhett Lashley's the second coming or something.
well, maybe he is.
There's just not a whole lot of.
We don't know.
Well, they have a lot of them have this idea in their head that a spread offense is just a fix-all for everything wrong with the program. No, it's not.
Well, yeah, but it's a start. I mean,
It is a start, but I would counter. I mean, UCLA thought it would fix a lot of problems too, and it didn't.
Well, that's hell. I don't know if you call that a spread. That's just a hell. Well, listen, UCLA's got different problems than what Miami's got. I think Miami's a better job than UCLA is as far as the talent.
I don't disagree with that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just UCLA is that's a tough job. I don't know. You could put Bill Belichick or Nick Saban at UCLA. I don't think they're winning national titles or anything. So.
No, I don't think so either, but I expected a little more out of their offense with Chip Kelly at the helm.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. But with the change in the offense, hopefully the Ed Reed brings a change in attitude there. I think that's a big part of it too, is Ed Reed is brought in there to change the culture, which I think is needed. From an outsider's opinion, I think there's a change in culture needed. And bringing recruits in there. So he's a guy. And then that's the other question I have. As chief of staff, is he allowed to go on recruiting visits?
As of, the only press conference he's had, they're still dealing with the NCAA to find out everything he is and isn't allowed to do. He is allowed to contact recruits by phone.
So, yeah. So I don't listen, if you're allowed to contact him by phone, I don't know why you wouldn't be able to visit him. That seems kind of.
I wouldn't either, but they were, like I said, they were going through, and he said himself, they're sitting down with the NCAA to find out exactly what he can and can't do, so they don't get in any trouble.
Right. Yeah, it's just a weird. Like when I heard the news about this, first of all, I was not surprised that they hired Ed Reed at all. He's been, a lot of former Miami players have been very vocal. Showing support, Michael, a lot of them, Irvin, and a lot of those other guys have been very vocal, supporting Miami, just through, saying great things, right? And going back to the campus and all that sort of thing. But out of all the players, he seems the one throughout the years that's been most invested in them actually becoming great again, right? And so I wasn't surprised that he was hired by them in some capacity. When I heard the position that he was hired at, I was like, I literally thought because I just clicked on a website link or something when the day that the news broke, and I thought it was like some kind of like fake news or fake website or something. I was like, chief of staff? No, you're not chief of staff. And then of course I went to another website and then ESPN, and I was like, this is true. So I wasn't surprised they hired him. I was just like, what is this chief of staff thing? And of course, what I did immediately after that, being the pigskin Pete that I am, I went and made a crazy a chief of staff video making fun of him. But at the end of it, I think it was a good hire. I'm just still dumbfounded about the whole chief of staff thing. And it sounds like from what you're telling me is that even Miami doesn't really know how to handle this yet. They're trying to deal with the NCAA as far as what he's allowed to do and what he's not allowed to do. So,
well, he's not. Most of that was to do with recruiting. He's not. You're only allowed so many coaches, so he's not technically supposed to be out on the field coaching.
Right. Well, we'll see. The
way he put it. The way he put it was more along the lines of, obviously, help Manny evaluate talent, evaluate, the personality of players, because that was a big thing when he came through.
Right.
Was they hired a sports consultant that had worked with the Pittsburgh Steelers. In evaluating players' character.
Yeah.
As far as, who's your natural leaders on the team, who would help fit into what position. And that kind of goes back to what you said about, him really being invested in seeing the program great again, because he came in 96, 97 at one of its lowest points in decades and brought him back to, the point of winning a national title.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what he's trying to do again. So, I mean, he's seen what it takes to do it, to bring them from, where they were when he came in, being docked 31 scholarships by the NCAA, being on a 2-year bowl ban, all that kind of stuff, to ultimately winning a national title.
Yeah. Yeah, and I make fun of Nick Saban all the time, because every time a coach gets fired, he hires him as an analyst. He's got like a Mount Rushmore of fired coaches on his staff as analyst, right? But listen, the reality is that when you bring in a bunch of different opinions and minds who are good at X's and O's or whatever else, that's only going to help your program. It's not going to hurt it. And so,
it is, and I that's actually, what I said earlier about him evaluating some of the, assistant coaches on the staff. There's some of them I have questions about. And if you go back, Nick Saban's a perfect example. But if you go back even in Miami's history, great names that you would think of today were at one time assistant coaches at Miami. Ed Orgeron's the first one that springs to mind. He was on Dennis Erickson's staff in 89 and 91.
Yeah.
So, I mean, somebody that can also help, maybe possibly get some better position coaches in there, because, I mean, they're just as important as who you have as your head coach.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see how it plays out. I think it was a good hire. I do. It's going to be it's going to be interesting to me to see how it all plays out. That's all.
And then, like you said, throwing De'Aaron King on top of it this year.
Yeah.
I mean, you could convince me that they're going to win, 10 games again this year like they did in 2017. But I think it would be a repeat of what happened in 2017. They'd meet Clemson and they'd get clobbered. The program's just not there yet. And the fans have got to give them time to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Anyway, thanks, Slim Shady Cans. I'm gonna have to let you go. I got about another 5 minutes on air, and I got a guy that's been holding on the line for about 15 minutes, so I want to pick his call up before I get off. But interesting.
I appreciate you taking my call.
Yeah, man. Always enjoy talking to you, man. Have a good one.
Yes, sir. You too.
All right. Good afternoon. You're on with Pete.
Oh, yo, long time no see. How are you?
Hey, how are you? Who am I speaking with?
You're speaking with Comic Dude.
Hey, Comic Dude. How are you, brother? I thought.
Yeah,
listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. I thought you were a troll for a second there. I was about ready to hang up on you and block you, but I'm glad you weren't.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm amazing and fantastic. Hope you're doing okay.
I'm amazing and fantastic as well. Thank you. What you got?
That's very good to hear.
So what you got for me today?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I've ever been on recently, but we have a new head coach finally, and our field of staff is complete. So yay. And I'm very happy about our staff choice.
So name the staff members that you're most excited about.
First, Sean Gleason, our offensive coordinator. Like, he was very good with the running backs at Oklahoma State last year, and he's up and coming. And and our running back room is our area of strength, so that would be a plus. I also like our defensive line coach, who we robbed from Minnesota. So I think we're going to be in good shape with edge rushers. Well, in the long term, at least.
Right. So give me and look, I'm not gonna bash on your team. I'm just not gonna.
I got you. I'm fine.
But listen, so give me a reasonable expectation. First of all, where did you guys finish in the final recruiting rankings? Do you know?
I believe like high 50s or low 60s.
Right.
I'm not exactly sure of the number.
Right. which is about is
But,
that about average?
I'd say yes, but also before Shiano came, like we were at like 102.
No. So that's
Yeah,
that's 100% better, literally.
Okay,
if you're in the 50s and it's so.
Yeah, and our 2021 class is in the high 30s.
So give me a reasonable expectation of where you would finish both your overall record in 2020 and in the Big Ten.
Let's see. Worse, I'd say between 1 and 4 wins next year, with at least one coming in conference.
So one and
we
so you're saying like a like a 2 and 10 or a 3 and 9 with one Big Ten win, something like that.
Yes.
All right. So who do you know offhand who your out of conference games are?
Yes, I know them like the back of my hand. We got Monmouth, Syracuse, and on the road against Temple.
Ooh. Yeah. So Monmouth, I didn't even know that was a college, but so you should win that one, maybe, right? You should probably win that one. That's one win.
Yeah, they're a lower level school in New Jersey.
All right, so Monmouth, I'm going to go ahead and give you that's a win. All right, Syracuse.
Okay, yeah.
Where's that game being played? Do you know?
At home. It's a home game for us.
Okay. All right. Now I don't know. Listen, I'm not even going to pretend to know how good Syracuse is going to be next year. I'm going to assume that Syracuse is still going to be better than Rutgers. But
yes.
So let's say that's a loss for Rutgers. All right. So you still got one win. What was the other one? Oh, Temple. You said, right?
At Temple.
Where's that game?
At Temple.
At Temple. All right.
In Pennsylvania.
So that's a rough one for you too. You know, that's a group of 5 game, but that's a tough group of 5 team to play. And you said it, and obviously that's in. You know, and it's not at home. So what in the Big Ten? Out of all the Big Ten teams you play, which is the one that you think you can win the most?
Maryland.
I knew you were going to say that, and I guess that's reasonable.
I almost said Michigan State because they have a new coaching staff, but they still have decent talent.
Yeah.
And we don't. And how good is Mel Tucker?
Where's that game being played?
I think Michigan State and Maryland are both on the road.
Ugh. See, that's not good. So listen, I'm with you.
Yeah.
You said between 1 and 4. 4 is extremely optimistic, I'd say.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm looking at probably 2. 2 and 10 or 3 and 9 is probably reasonable, but the question is, and that's with the new coaching staff, right? In 2020. So if you're being optimistic and you're looking towards 2021, can you build on the 2020 season? Listen, if you can go from 2 or 3 wins in 2020 to 4, 5, 6, maybe make a bowl game at some point in 2021 or 2022. I mean, listen, Greg Schiano, there's a lot of different opinions on him personally and all that. I'm not going to even get into that. But the bottom line is he will be able to recruit better than anything that Rutgers has had since the last time he was there, right?
Yes.
So
I agree. And not only that, he's got the fan base energized. He gave them a shot in the arm.
Yeah.
That's another factor you have to consider.
Yeah. It's tough, though, man. I mean, the Big Ten East is one of the best divisions in college football, and it sounds like Rutgers is also scheduling pretty decent teams out of conference. So for a team that's really just not that talented right now, it's an uphill battle. But it all comes down to recruiting, and if Greg Schiano can, get into, let's say he can get into the 40s and 30s and even the 20s at some point in recruiting, then that's when you start seeing bowl eligibility and all that. So.
Yeah, I don't like our schedule in 2021, but I like our schedule in 2020. I like it, but the problem with that is because I like it, and it's like we're not that good, so we can't really take advantage of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, look, I don't know what to say. I like talking trash to other fans. I can't do it to a Rutgers fan. It makes me feel bad. It's like beating up an old lady, right? Why would anybody want to do that?
Yeah.
So
Well, that's actually pretty accurate considering that's pretty much the majority of our fan base. Yeah.
all right, man. All right, listen, I gotta end the show in a minute. Anything else you want to say before we get off?
We're a basketball school.
All right, that's fair enough. It's fair enough. Clemson is not a basketball school, so you have that going for you. All right, man. Well, thank you for calling in. I appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, no problem. Later.
All right. So there you have it, folks. Comic Dude 45, one of my favorite viewers. And he's such a good sport. Imagine how hard it would be to be a Rutgers football fan. It's got to be hard. It's got to be hard. And listening to him say, who's the McD Sports 4, Maryland fan? Comic Dude just challenged you. He just slapped you in the face with one of those metal gloves that they used to do back in the dark ages. He said that out of all the Big Ten teams they play, he said that they would get beat by Syracuse. He said that they would get beat by Temple. But he said if they're going to win one game in the Big Ten, it's going to be against Maryland. I can see McD Sports 4 now, and he is definitely, if he's listening, going to be triggered. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and shut down the call-in studio. And for the next 2 or 3 minutes, I'll answer some questions in the chat. But my computer's going to die. Vic Beasley says Rutgers would smack Maryland. I love watching bad teams talk trash to each other. There's nothing more exciting than that. What's up? Luke Newman says, what's up, Pete? What's up with you, sir? Vol Orange. Well, I don't know how to say. I can't even look. Listen, it's been a long day. I can't pronounce your name correctly, so I'm not going to try. But I know you are. He says, why no? I hate Florida State. David Tyree. It's all about good recruiting. Yes, I couldn't have said it better myself, sir. The Goat Watch says Clemson is a football and soccer school. I'd throw baseball in there. Clemson's always got a really good baseball team. Now, they're not like, they're not competing for national championships every year, but Clemson's always been a good baseball school. The state of South Carolina is one of the best states in the Southeast for baseball. Listen, there's at least 3 Major League Baseball players in the town I live in that are playing in the major leagues right now. This is a hotbed for baseball players, but I'm excited about the baseball season coming up. Actually, Bama Boys in the house. Slim Shady Kane says Miami owns baseball. Yeah, the ACC. Listen, the ACC in basketball this year has been an absolute dumpster fire, right? North Carolina's had the worst season they've had in the history of North Carolina, probably. I mean, I don't even know what's going on with that. Anyway, they've had a bunch of injuries or whatever. I get it, but Duke is still good, but not the Duke we know. Every other team. Listen, Clemson. Listen, this is how bad it is. Clemson's not a great basketball team, right? Ever. They beat Louisville, Duke, and North Carolina this year. That tells you all you need to know. That's 3 top 5 teams when they played them. So we'll see what happens. I don't know. This is just a down year for ACC basketball, but the ACC and baseball is always good. Listen to that. Slim Shady Kane's breaking out, flexing his muscle with the Miami baseball team. 41 straight Omaha appearances. Now, that's impressive. That is impressive. Don't badmouth Tiger Hoops. I'm not badmouthing it. I'm just being real, sir. Listen, this is one of the main reasons that I don't talk about college basketball on this YouTube channel. It's because there's a whole large group of Clemson fans out there. I don't like Brad Brownell. I mean, listen, I think he's a great guy and all that. I don't want Brad Brownell. They say, we can't get anybody better. How do you know you can't get anybody better? Listen, he's been there for, 12 years now? He's made 1 tournament appearance. I don't even care if he only goes to one tournament every 3 or 4 years. That's a low expectation. A low expectation. He should be going to the tournament at least every 3 years. I don't even care if they win a game in the tournament, but at least get there. He's not doing that. Sorry. Anyways, don't. Yeah, you agree with me. Thank you. You get me all worked up. This is why I don't talk about basketball in here. I'm telling you. I made the mistake of posting my opinions about Brad Brownell on Twitter. Oh God, stick to football, you idiot. You don't know anything about basketball. I'm like, I don't need to know anything about basketball other than the fact that we haven't been to the tournament except for one time in 12 years. That's all I need to know. I don't even need to know how much a 2-pointer is or a 3-pointer. I just need to know how many times they've been to the tournament, which ain't that many. Anyways, it's been a great stream. You guys are all amazing. You're all fantastic. Thank you to all the callers. Thank you to all the commenters. Thank you to all the trolls, which the trolling was at a minimum tonight. Didn't see anything too crazy in there. So anyways, you guys are great. I appreciate the support. Make sure you hit the thumbs up button, share it, like it, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'll see you guys very soon. Pigskin Pete, check it out.